Rob Thompson, Karl Schoening. Halftime.
It is halftime here on San Antonio Sports Talk. Half two of halftime. ESPN AM 1250, 94.5 FM. If you're tuned into our frequencies, you can check out our StreamYard. We multi-stream to Facebook Live and YouTube. I'm Karl Schoening. No Rob Thompson today. We've hidden him away. This should be the show. Me and Pleasure. Yeah. Hey. Show about nothing. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, we talk sports. Yeah. Why are you listening? Because it's on radio.
Sometimes.
Yeah, not yet. Yeah. All righty. Hey, joining us now on the Kielbasa Bacon phone lines is Jeff Garcia from Kins 5. You can follow him on Twitter. It's always a good time if you want to stay connected in everything need to know for the Spurs at Jeff G Spurs Zone. Jeff, you were actually cutting up some sound from the end of practice today. Could you tell us what you heard from practice?
Definitely, yeah. It looks like he lives for Rico. Amina lives. He actually spoke with Mita today and basically just kind of summed up that he's doing all right, physically, that he's getting ready for the season. And then when it came to the big question of, well, what about you staying in San Antonio? They went to the tried and true answer that all players give. NBA is the business. So nothing more than that. Kind of just a traditional, very ho-hum post-practice session. Although it is interesting, though. He did credit Popovich, for being a basketball savant. So that's good. But yeah, nothing really too revealing. Josh Primo also spoke. He said that, hey, he knows he's young and he may start out in the NBA G League wearing an Austin Spurs uniform, but that's just part of the process. Good to know, Karl, James, that he knows what's coming.
I would rather Primo get used to the NBA three-point line, the NBA speed, because the G League is actually a touch faster than the NBA in terms of speed. I would like him to get used to the heavily structured NBA game. He's 18 and a half years old. He has not seen, well, I guess he's like 18.7. He's going to be the youngest player in the NBA. He has not seen a structure like an NBA basketball offense and defense.
Right.
So, there's a lot of benefits just to learn and improve. And, man, how about this training camp? They didn't show the steal, but you could kind of tell that DeJounte Murray picked his pocket and started a fast break the other way on Spurs social media the other day. This is a good opportunity for him to go against some all NBA level guards to really learn what the NBA is about. And then when he goes to Austin, he'll learn how to run the NBA offense. I've always been a big proponent of the Austin Spurs being a sort of way for these guys to get used to the
training
NBA.
Ground.
Yeah, it's a training ground.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be learned in Austin, and it's so far the Spurs have not had to cut a first-round pick. So there's obviously those benefits to it.
Jeff, as we look at the NBA season about to come up, or at least the preseason starting on Monday, what's something we should be looking forward to? Because we know that this is going to be completely different from any other Spurs year probably in the last 2 decades plus. So what is it that we should be looking for when the Spurs actually take the court on Monday?
Getting better game by game, day by day, week by week, month by month, taking those L's, just taking them and learning from them. And learning from the W's as well. And look, this is just part of the process. Look, when Popovich comes out and smiling and laughing and joking with media and asking media, hey, you tell me who you want to be the go-to guy, he's setting the tone for the season, not to have high expectations. For the first time in a long time, there really isn't that pressure on him to make a deep run in the playoffs, make a championship run. Truth be told, it's been like the way for the last 2-3 years already, but now it's come full circle that this is a rebuild. He is now part of a full, true rebuild. No more DeMar, no more all-stars, period, on this roster. So they're moving forward. And I think that's good. It takes the pressure off the kids, lets them know, like, hey, look, nobody's rushing you. Nobody's telling you, championship or bust. This is San Antonio. We got to do it. No. Take your time, get better. Prove yourselves out on the court. The training wheels are off. LMA's gone. Mills is gone. Rudy Gay's gone. Now is your time to shine. But at the same time, they're also on the hot seat. you're looking at guys like Luka Samanic. All right, Luka, let's see what you got. There's no more Rudy Gay ahead of you. Who knows if Thad Young is still around? Maybe that could be an obstacle for him, as far as getting playing time. But if Thad Young is gone, as many expect, then Luka, you're on. Same thing with Lonnie. Hey, Lonnie, we got some money for you that's sitting on the table. Let's see what you got. So, there's a lot of things to keep an eye on. But individually, gentlemen, I think individually as players, they may have pressures just to prove themselves.
Oh, absolutely, because this is their chance. You talked about it. There's no more obvious first options ahead of guys like a DeJounte or a Derek White. And then on the other side, this is the first chance for all of these guys that are 22 and younger to really solidify their spots in the rotation. Lonnie Walker, Luka Samanic, who I have to defend Luka a lot on here, and I kind of want to equate him to Davis Bertans.
You're next to James too. We know how he feels about Luka.
Yeah, here's my thing.
Sandwich just has to prove it to me. That's all.
Here's my thing. The Austin Spurs is the new draft and stash, because when Davis Bertans was drafted in 2011. He was 18 years old. We drafted Luka at 19, and obviously there's a difference between a second-round pick and a first-round pick, but Davis didn't come over until he was 24 in 2016. Nobody was getting impatient with Davis while he was over in Europe. Nowadays, it's a better path to say, hey, we're going to develop these guys in Austin, and then eventually they'll break into the rotation. I'm not saying wait until Luka's 24 to see the results, because I think he could actually show some of those results this year.
I mean, it feels like you're saying that.
No, but I am saying let him get a little more green in the NBA this year. That is somebody who hasn't come to media yet, right? Samanic is still one of the guys that hasn't gotten any sound bites.
Nope, nothing.
Is there somebody that is somebody? Well, we haven't had a chance to hear from everybody, right? Is there somebody else on your list that you haven't heard from?
Okay, well, there's Luka, obviously. Individual, like these post-practice things, or just in general?
Yeah, in general, but also these post-practices.
Well, Lonnie in post-practice has not spoken. Who else hasn't? Drew Eubanks hasn't.
What would you like to hear from these guys like Lonnie and Drew when they finally do get in? Because they're also people that will be going into, just like the rest of this roster, a role that they have not played before.
Right. Yeah. Oh, well, I'll start with Drew. I like to hear him say that, sure, he showed off that he's hitting his three-point shot, his long-range shot in off-season workout videos that every NBA player puts out. But is that something that's really being now part of his package now? Is that part of his offensive arsenal? Because there's a kid named Jock Landau who can definitely do that. And if he shows out in Austin, if he does get in Austin and he starts knocking him down, and maybe in training camp right now, what if in preseason game 1, they threw Jock out there, Jock, get out there, and he's knocking him down? Then that puts a lot of pressure on a guy like Drew to really, really have to show out that, hey, I'm not going to lose minutes to this guy, this rookie who hasn't proven himself while I'm here. So I like to see that from Drew. Luka, you know what? Luke, I'm at the point now. Luka, look, Karl, I'm with you. I'm a big Luka fan. Ultimately, I like him, and I'm hoping that he pans out. But I'm at the point now, guys, where I just got to see it now. I just got to see it now. I don't. He can go on record right now and say, I bulked up, which he has. I got the shot. I do all this stuff. I learned everything I can from Austin. That's great, Luka. Now let's see you do it now. And look, I think it's a situation where it's not going to be instantaneous. Like game 1, significant minutes for him. He does this amazing game. No. If he just shows improvement every chance he's on the court, I think that's what you want to see out of him. I mean, I'm hoping he makes a big leap and just proves that he was worthy of being the number 19 overall pick. But with Luka, I just got to see it now, gentlemen.
Jeff Garcia, Kins 5, Spurs reporter. You can follow him on Twitter at Jeff G Spurs Zone. Jeff, as we look at this team, as we head into the season, one of the things that Pop said in his pre-training camp press conference was this was by design. What they've done is by design. And one of the things by design they've done is they brought in a Zach Collins, a big that can space the floor, Jacques Landau, a big that can space the floor. They spent the bulk of their money on a Doug McDermott, a 3-4 who can help space the floor. How much spacing are you wanting to see out of this team as this season starts to develop? Do you want to be able to see them threaten from the outside and how much that affects the offense?
Don't forget Bryn Forbes, who was 4th in three-point percentage last year.
You're welcome.
I want to see the floor spread a lot. I think they need to do that because it lends to a lot of their perimeter play. DeJounte's a slasher. Derek likes to get to the rim. Keldon, well, as of right now, it's all he does is get to the rim. So they're going to need to spread that floor. And we know Buckets is going to do that. We know Bryn is going to do that. But if those bigs start knocking them down, I think that'd be great. I'm close to giving up hope that Pirtle will ever develop some sort of outside shot. I'm close to it. But
don't worry, I've already done it, Jeff.
2 years. James, you've been on Lockdown Spurs for like over 2 years now. And how many times have we talked about his international media sessions where that's all he talks about is his outside shot, and we don't never see it. So yeah, same thing for him. Pirtle, great defensively, awesome, bravo, hat tip to you. But you're gonna need to prove that you can knock something down. Anything he generates his points off misses, pick and roll game. That's great. That's effective. That helps. But if he could just help individually and create some sort of offense, that'd be great as well. So yeah, floor space is going to be key this year. But at the end of the day, when Pop says you're going to have fun this season, everybody who's tuning into the media sessions, that you're going to like the product on the floor, it's going to be up tempo. I mean, when was the last time you heard Pop talk about having fun on the court? Like, we're going to have fun on the court. And there it was. Everyone's like, okay, well, I guess we are going to have fun. So he's setting the tone, not only in that media day session, but for the rest. I think it was a message to the guys that, hey, no pressure. We're going to do this. But I also hope there was a little bit of bulletin board material, Karl, when he says there's no all-stars, superstars on this team. If I'm a young guy, I'm thinking at that, and really, Pop, let me show you what I got. And I'd take that. Anything that they can do beyond, at least get to close to all-star, megastar level, it's gravy for this team. And that's what Spurs fans should do. Myself and James, we pre-recorded a Lockdown Spurs, and that's one thing that James highlighted a lot, saying, just go into this season, Spurs fan base, have fun with it, look for improvement, look for growth, and if they eclipse that, what is it, that 28 win mark Vegas hit?
28 and a half.
Yeah, 28 and a half, that's great. That's gravy. There's no pressure on this team. So, but if they do pan out, Karl, and if they do turn into these pretty good players, maybe the offseason, this new one might be very interesting if they start thinking, well, it's time to flip these guys.
That is, I don't like to speculate on trades too much, but that is something that
literally all we've done for 2 months is speculate on Ben Simmons.
That's true, but that's Ben Simmons. I don't want to get into saying, oh, hey, DeJounte could really help out. The Celtics, for example, make a lot of sense as they kind of have a hole at that spot with Kemba Walker leaving, and that would make sense with the timeline of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, since they're about the same age. But going back to it, Jeff, like you were saying, this is all of everybody's opportunity on the Spurs roster to emerge. But let me ask you this: where could the Spurs end up defensively? We don't have a guy who's going to end up as a scoring title contender. But defensively, as a group, everybody on this squad likes to get out and defend. So could the Spurs as a team be a top defensive squad in the NBA?
Yeah, they have the potential to do that. Absolutely. With Pirtle, with White, with Murray. Devin showed he can play some defense in his rookie year. So, yeah, definitely. They have pieces to defend. And I think that might be, at the end of the day, be the X factor for them getting more than 28 and a half wins. Defense wins games, and Pop has been preaching that since day one of his tenure in San Antonio. So that is going to be huge for them. But recently, Trey Jones spoke with media and said that he's noticing out of Devin just how aggressive he is on the offensive end. And there's a big hole on the offensive end, Karl. A lot of offense went out the door this offseason. A lot. Patty Mills, Rudy Gay, DeMar DeRozan, LMA, well, at least before offseason last year. So who's going to fill that? And if it's Devin, great. But then we circle back to what we talked about this upcoming season. It's all gravy right now. If Devin breaks out and has his awesome spike in offensive numbers, bravo. Great, I'll take it. If he doesn't, then what are you going to fall back to, Karl? Well, it's a developmental season. Let them get it run. Let them get better. Next season they're going to get it. I think future forward looking is what everybody should be looking at this season. How are they going to improve after this season? And will they make any necessary movements? Let's move up in the draft, swing for the fences to get an all-star in here. Then we'll see where this team is going to go. But right now, yeah, this is like what? James, would you say this is like the Spurs? The San Antonio Spurs are like the G League 2.0? That's what it feels like. This is like the G League right now in the AT&T Center.
How about like an all-rookie team type?
So, yeah, let's, for example, take away Lonnie, Derek, Thaddeus, Al-Farouq Aminu, and I'll even throw in Drew Eubanks because he's 24 years old. The rest of the roster is 23 and younger. So I just named 5 guys, and there's 17 guys on the roster. Okay, I forgot McDermott as well. So McDermott's 29, but he's going to be a key piece for any rotation that the Spurs want to throw him into. So, and Jakob is also 25. So a good chunk of this roster is still not even near what you would consider your athletic prime when you start to figure it out. You have last 2 years ago, last year's 11th overall pick, Devin Vassell. This year's 12th overall pick, Josh Primo, which, he has an NBA skill. He shot 38% in the SEC last year. That's nothing to sneeze at. So if all of a sudden, there's a load management game on top of maybe an injury the Spurs are just trying to be careful with, and Primo has done well enough in the G League to say, okay, we're going to give you an opportunity here with NBA rotation minutes, or dare I say, in preseason, he shows that he's got some game in him, then, yeah, the Spurs could be looking at their 2 lottery picks the last couple of years being key pieces on this team. And, yeah, you got to be patient with those guys sometimes. Look at the Minnesota Timberwolves. They've had so many lottery picks over the last few years. It hasn't really equated to much. But right now, the Spurs and the Timberwolves, they're battling national expectations that are about even.
I would say that is a poor example because the only ones that have panned out for them are the ones they had to tank to get, which are Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns, which is something the Spurs haven't done.
They traded for D'Angelo Russell.
But I'm saying their draft picks and the young talent they've acquired, like the only ones that have panned out, they've had to race to the bottom for. But Jeff, as we look at this team and the prospects of a season in which this is, I look at the Spurs with a lot of hope and optimism. Despite a lot of people thinking my bleakness of how bad the season's going to be, I think it's a great thing for the Spurs. And I'm excited because of the style that it looks like they want to play, which is more conducive to the modern style of the NBA.
Right. Yeah. Well, they got no choice. I mean, that's just the makeup of the roster. That's what they have, and that's great. I mean, the roster is kind of forcing Popovich to go in this direction and adapt to this modern up-tempo, addressing the lack of three-point shooters they had last year, addressing it this year, with fours and buckets, great. But they got to put it together. They're going to have to put it together. And, of course, the NBA schedule makers decides to see if the Spurs can take a beating in their first month with how heavy that schedule is going to be. So they're going to learn right away. We're going to see this team metal tested immediately in that first month. You got the champs coming in twice. You got the Lakers. You got the Nuggets. You got the Mavericks. That's just month one. So maybe kind of a rough month to start the season. But if these guys are getting better each and every game, we'll take it. You just want to see incremental wins along the road. And when the offseason gets here, I know, Karl, you don't like the idea of flipping, but I mean, that, unfortunately, Karl, that's the situation the franchise is in right now. They're going to have to get aggressive trading, get aggressive moving up. Look, they got aggressive one time and it turned into a title, Kawhi Leonard, and parting away with a fan favorite, George Hill, and it worked out. They're going to have to dip into that again.
And
I mean, Karl, yeah. I don't see Anthony Davis knocking on the Spurs door.
No.
What?
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
Come on.
I agree with you. You know, the thing is, this is what I was saying to Pledger earlier. The only way to be a contender in the NBA is to have an MVP candidate. So if you do not have an MVP candidate, and then not only an MVP candidate, but a guy who could maybe also be an MVP candidate if he were number one on another team as well as your top two guys, then you're not going to win a championship. At least it doesn't seem very likely. What, the 04 Pistons are the only ones this century that have done that? And maybe the 2011 Mavericks, even though you can say Dirk is an MVP candidate, although he was past his
Big
prime
Ben just going to the Hall of Fame, though?
What's that?
Didn't Big Ben just go into the Hall of Fame, though? I mean, they had a Hall of Famer on that team.
But he wasn't an MVP candidate. And that is funny that he was the first one to make the Hall of Fame out of that group, isn't he? Yeah. But
well, just look at Phoenix. Look how long it took them. And they drafted. They got Ayton and Booker. And Booker was what? He was a 13 pick, something like that.
Yeah, Booker was 12, I believe.
Overall. Yeah, and number one overall, and it still took time for them. But the point is, how did they get to this point? They got themselves a number one pick. They got themselves a 13 pick that turned into an all-star. The Spurs are going to have to hope that they're one of their 29 picks. How many? They had like 229 picks on there with White and
Derek and DJ and Keldon.
Keldon, thank you, Keldon. One of those guys turned into kind of like a Booker, like a late bloomer that just bloom and then explode. But even then, I don't think that's still going to be enough for this team. They still need two or more stars. And right now they have zero. And Pop even said it. No, there's no megastars on this team. There's no all-stars on this team. So you hope that one of these guys turn into that, a la Booker, and they get some help in the draft. And that's going to take a while.
If you were to take $100 and go to Vegas and bet futures bets on who could be the future MVPs on this team outside of Keldon Johnson, how far down the list is Luka Samanic and Josh Primo?
Why did I know you were going to go there? I knew it. I had it on the tip of my head you're going to throw in Luka first. No, they're not. They're not high atop my list. No.
I don't think anybody has MVP expectations from Luka. But
I said futures bets. This is down the road.
No, but even if Luka all of a sudden at 24 years old has been playing 3 good years of basketball, and what year would that be? Geez, 2025. You know, yeah, like I get it's a joke, but you know, MVPs. Now here's my thing. Primo really does look like he's got something. When we were watching him in the summer league, he was showing that he's very creative with his shot creation. We know that he can shoot. He was knocking down some deep threes as well. What do you see in his future before we let you go here?
I see a lot of promise. I see a lot of potential, a tremendous upside. This is a kid that isn't afraid to push the ball, isn't afraid to get fancy with the passes, isn't afraid to attack the rim, isn't afraid to knock down the shot. I saw it live and in person out in Las Vegas. I was impressed, very, very impressed. Team guy, you know, he was the first guy off that bench. He was, sorry, reading the comments too with you, James. He was getting off that bench. He was cheering for his teammates. There's a lot of promise there. And you really hope that it pans out because there were some big names on that board. And the Spurs passed on him. So they're betting on the future, and hopefully that future is bright. And right now, it does look bright for them. Hey, do you think I'm just throwing this out there, just popped in my head. We're talking about Primo right now. What about Wieskamp? Are we forgetting him? Here's a guy that has an element that the Spurs could use. That's the outside shot, the three-point shot. Very confident with that. We saw it in college. Even when he was missing everything in Vegas to start his summer league campaign, he was saying, like, I ain't worried. It's going to fall. And sure enough, it fell.
I'll start this, Karl. But as it comes to Wieskamp, what I expect from him, I expect him to be in Doug McDermott's hip pocket for the entire season, just learning how to be a veteran, how to move around off screens, how to take care of your body, how to play the NBA game the way Doug McDermott does.
You know what? I'm asking if Matt Bonner wants a player development role too.
Yes, yes. Why not?
Exactly. I'm asking. Yeah. Do you want to have a player development role? Go to Austin, hang out with Wieskamp for a while, Matt. So yeah, I want to see what for me, he's kind of flying under the radar a little bit right now. He might open some eyes.
Well, it's funny.
I think it's because we expect him in Austin most of the year.
Yeah, he's a two-way guy. Yeah. He's not actually on the regular NBA roster. He'll be able to play, I think it's 50 games. And he is a shooter. And if you go all the way back to Anthony Tolliver was on the Spurs training camp and the NBA Summer League with the Spurs, and he just didn't knock down anything. But the Spurs knew that he was a shooter. And lo and behold, his next stop ended up, I can't remember where he went after, but long story short, Anthony Tolliver's been in the NBA like 12 years now. So you know when guys can shoot, and sometimes shooting is always streaky. Even your 40% three-point shooters will have months where they shoot 29%.
Danny Green?
Oh, yeah, of course. No, quite literally, almost any NBA player that shoots volume threes is not going to consistently every single month shoot 40%. There's going to be those months where they shoot 55%, then the next month they shoot 30%. And that's just what you got to deal with in the NBA. Three-point shooting is like that.
Anybody who shoots 35% or more.
Exactly.
Anybody. Just give me anybody who can knock them down.
Jeff, before we get you out of here, I know you're our basketball insider. I know you're our Spurs insider, but I just want to put it out in the universe that he may be our football insider soon. Jeff Garcia is going to his first football game up in New York. Jets Titans this weekend, my friend.
Oh,
yeah. You know what? I've been in and out of New York for a good chunk of my life. Look, San Antonio's home. I split time between San Antonio and New York City. Stupid pandemic has me locked up here in NYC, but not for long. I lived here for X amount of years, Karl, and I told James this. I've never been to a Giants or a Jets game. I'm just stunned that I've never been to either one. I've been to MetLife Stadium for a concert, but I've never been just to watch a football game. So yeah, I'm going to go to see Jets Titans this Sunday. Guess what, Karl? I told James this. One of their, food attractions is literally a bucket full of big honking pieces of fried chicken drizzled in. And then here's the thing. James asked me, he goes oh my God, are you ready for and I thought he was going to tell me the calorie count or just getting full. No, he says, are you ready for the price that's going to be attached to that? I'm like, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Just take my card.
Stadium food's expensive, man.
Especially in New York. NFL game. I'm gonna guess $32. That'll be my guess.
That's a really good guess.
Yeah, that's a good guess. Yeah, I have a photo. I gotta find it of the food menu prices at Yankee Stadium.
Oh,
your mouth would just drop, guys.
Not really.
$12 for a hot dog.
Try
20.
More. Try more.
What?
20. Yeah. 20.
I can see $20 for a beer.
Dude, it's Yankee
I've not
Stadium.
been to the new Yankee Stadium. The old Yankee Stadium was ridiculous. They have to pay for that new one, and man, they've probably been paying for that one since 2009. All right. Hey, Jeff, thank you for joining us. He's Jeff Garcia with Ken's 5 at Jeff G Spurs Zone on Twitter. He has his fingers on the pulse of what's going on with the Spurs. He's worth a follow on social media. Jeff, thank you for taking the time.
Anytime, gentlemen.
All righty. Always a good time talking to Jeff.